Last night, I woke up and realized someone had butchered my hair. One side is a jagged pixie cut, and the other side hangs awkwardly past my shoulder. At first, I thought I was losing my mind, maybe I sleepwalked or something, but no. I confronted my husband, Tim, because he's been acting weird lately, but he denied it. Then he drops this bombshell: my mom. She might have done it. Apparently, my MIL, let's call her Diane, is convinced I've been cheating on Tim. Why? Because last week, she saw me having lunch with a coworker. For the record, the coworker, Kyle, is gay and we were literally talking about work. But Diane decided I must be having an affair and, instead of, talking to me or Tim, she broke into our house in the middle of the night with scissors and went full Edward Scissorhands on my hair. This morning, I confronted her. At first, she played innocent, but when I pressed her, she literally said, "Well, maybe now you'll think twice before humiliating my son." I was fuming. I told her Kyle isn't even into women, but she just rolled her eyes and said something like, "That's what they all say." I didn't even know how to respond to that level of delusion. Tim is horrified and apologetic, but I'm struggling here. This woman violated my personal space, destroyed my hair, and acted like she was in the right. I want to go no contact with her. But Tim is stuck between me and his mom, and I feel like this is going to be a huge blow-up in our marriage. After the conversation we had with Diane this morning, I noticed my husband, Tim, was acting weird. At first, I thought it was just guilt about standing up to his mom, but it felt like more than that. He's been avoiding eye contact and getting defensive when I bring up what happened. Earlier, I couldn't take it anymore, so I sat him down and told him he needed to be 100% honest with me about everything. That's when he dropped the bombshell. Apparently, Diane didn't come up with the haircut idea on her own. Tim admitted that he knew about it ahead of time and even helped her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He said he truly thought I was cheating on him with Kyle, my gay coworker, because Diane had convinced him that there was too much evidence to ignore. When she suggested cutting my hair as some kind of weird punishment, he didn't stop her. In fact, he let her into our house that night while I was sleeping. Tim said he didn't want to confront me directly because he wasn't ready for the truth. So instead, he let his mother do this insane thing to me, thinking it would force me to come clean. Afterward, when I didn't admit to cheating, he started to realize he might have been wrong, but by then, he didn't know how to tell me what he'd done. He kept saying, "I'm so sorry, I was just confused, but I honestly don't know how to process this." This wasn't just Diane acting like a lunatic, this was both of them, and my own husband betrayed me in one of the most humiliating ways possible. I packed a bag and am staying with a friend tonight, and while I figure out what to do, I don't know if I can ever trust Tim again after this. It's not just the haircut, it's the fact that he didn't talk to me, believed the worst about me without any proof, and actively participated in something so cruel and violating. As for Diane, she's officially dead to me. I've already told Tim that I don't want her in my life ever again, regardless of what happens between us. Right now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to file a police report on both of them for what they did, but I'm scared of how messy it will get. Another part of me just wants to cut ties and move on, but that feels like letting them off too easy. After everything that's happened, I've been thinking a lot about my next steps, and I've come to a heartbreaking but necessary conclusion. I don't think there's any coming back from this. I trusted Tim with my heart, my safety, my life, and he betrayed me in ways I never thought possible. I can't imagine a future where I feel safe with him, where I can trust him, or where I don't carry the weight of this violation every day. I'm strongly considering filing for divorce. The thought of staying with him feels unbearable, but at the same time, I can't stop worrying about the messiness of it all. I just want to cut ties completely, to walk away and rebuild my life without him or his mother dragging me down any further. As for filing a police report, I'm leaning toward it, but I'm scared of what it might bring. I know what they did was a crime. My own husband let his mother into our home to assault me in my sleep. But the thought of dealing with legal battles, or even just having to relive this again and again in statements, is exhausting. Part of me wants to hold them accountable, but another part just wants to run far away and never look back. Right now, I'm taking it one step at a time. I've been talking to friends, trying to find some clarity in all this chaos. It's terrifying and painful, but I know one thing for sure: I deserve so much better than this. Thank you to everyone who has shown me kindness and support. It means the world to me right now. I finally made some concrete decisions. First, I contacted a divorce lawyer. I explained the entire situation, including what my husband admitted to and how his mother violated my trust and personal safety. The lawyer was very supportive and walked me through the process of filing for divorce. While it feels daunting, I know this is the best decision for me. I can't see a future where I could ever trust my husband again after what he allowed to happen. Second, I decided to press charges against my mother-in-law. I've filed a police report for assault, and I've documented everything: photos of my hair, text messages, and the timeline of events. While I'm still nervous about how messy this could get, I refused to let her get away with what she did. What she did wasn't just humiliating, it was an act of violence, and she needs to be held accountable for it. As for my husband, I've made it clear that I'm done. I've moved out and will not be returning. I blocked his mother entirely and am limiting any communication with him to legal matters only. I'm still scared, hurt, and figuring things out, but I feel a little more empowered now that I've taken these steps. Editor's note: included in the post are 2 screenshots of text messages between OOP and her husband. I have transcribed the conversation below.
Redacted, I need you to be honest with me. Did you know what Redacted was going to do?
I didn't think it would go this far.
That is not an answer. Did you know she was planning to cut my hair?
She was upset, okay? She kept saying you needed to learn a lesson, but I didn't think she would actually do it.
Learn a lesson? Are you hearing yourself right now? She told you what she was going to do and you still let her in.
I thought maybe she'd cool down after talking to you.
She told you she wanted to teach me about lesson by cutting my hair, and you thought it would be fine. Redacted, what is wrong with you?
I didn't know how to handle it, okay? She was so worked up. I didn't want to make things worse.
Worse? How could it possibly get worse? You knew Redacted. You knew she was going to do it and you let her.
I didn't mean for it to happen like this.
But it did happen. And now I'm sitting here humiliated, betrayed, and wondering how I'm supposed to ever trust you again.
I'm sorry, I really am.
Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't make me feel safe in my own home anymore. I don't know who you are anymore. I need space to figure this out.
Redacted, please just come home and we can talk about this.
No. You made your choice and now I have to make mine.
Second story. We've been together since we were 18. Never had a great lift after the first year. Maybe once or twice a year at most since then, but at the minute it's going on 3 years, and although it bothers me, I love her and I love our kids, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I know plenty of friends in the same situation. Another bit of context is that I've always been mildly overweight but always fit, as I played a lot of sports until about 10 years ago when I got really ill and a mixtures of meds and comfort eating made me balloon up to nearly 300 pounds. Well, 2 years ago I decided to do something about. I'm now around 200, which at 6 feet 2 inches is the lightest I've been as an adult, and I've actually enjoyed using weights and for the first time in my life have a bit of abs and some muscle. My wife, having always been far hotter, is pretty obvious insecure about the fact that for the first time we've been together women are starting to look at me and message me on my baking pages on social media. For the record, I've never even looked at another woman in that way. On to the night in question. My wife went out with some friends, a mix of single and in a relationship. She looked stunning and I told her so. I even updated my phone home screen to that picture of her, lol. One of the friends she was out with messaged me about 3 months and the gist was she knows I get no sex. My wife doesn't realize how lucky she is and basically, do I want to hook up? I obviously instantly take a screenshot and send it to my wife.
OOP, Redacted, I need you to be honest with me. Redacted was going to do, OOP, that is not an answer. Do you know she was planning to cut my hair, OOP, learn a lesson? Yourself right now? She told you what she was and you still let her in, OOP. She told you she wanted to teach in by cutting my hair, and you thought it would be Redacted, what is wrong with you, OOP, worse? How could it possibly get worse? You Redacted. You knew she was going to do it and you let her, OOP, but it did happen.
An hour or so later, once I got the right words in my head, I said, I know you feel really guilty, but please don't. I'm not going to leave you and break up our family over some kissing and dancing, and I don't love you any less than I did yesterday, and this isn't something that's going to grow and cause an resentment. More or less right on cue, my phone goes off and it's that friend of hers with a picture and a video of what my wife was doing. This set my wife off again, but my feelings still haven't changed, and a month later that remains the case. In that month since then, my wife has accused me of not loving her because I didn't care. She's accused me of kissing other people and more, which is why I didn't care, as I was covering up my own indiscretions, and she's accused me of being gay multiple times, which doesn't make sense. She keeps asking me why I haven't initiated anything with her, even though in the past she's told me she hates being touched and not to ever try it on with her, which I have respected. She's basically projecting, and it's annoying me as it's putting a strain on us, which she is 100% causing. How do I get through to her that she needs to stop feeling guilty and just move on, because I have, as it's not a big deal? I was genuinely more annoyed when she broke my baking bowl and tried to blame it on the cat, lol. I said in my last post I told her I wanted us to go back to couples counseling and therapy. She said no to both as we went before, and she felt bullied. She said it's therapy that unless she initiates touching, not just any touching like hugs or hand holding, it will be against her will and will be forced/pity affection from her. The therapist said that's very unreasonable and that's why she felt bullied there. I tried to ask her a few questions too. Are you a lesbian or at least bi? Don't be stupid. Are you asexual? I'm not a teenager with a stupid label. What did he have I don't? Nothing, I just wanted to do it. Why don't you ever want to do that with me? Don't know. What can I do to make you want to do that to me? Don't know. Do you want me to take the initiative and try it on with you more? No, I'll tell you when I want it, don't guess. So she refused the therapy and gave me no straight answers. She has also said I've gone back on my word about not letting the kiss split us up because now it is. I said it's not the kiss, it's your behavior since then that has caused me to want to divorce. She said as it's my decision to divorce and it's all my fault, then I should be the one to tell out kids and she will have no part of it. That was hard. As soon as they were told, my wife left for her sister's, and in the 3 days since I haven't heard anything from her. I've tried speaking to her about the kids as they miss her, but she reads my messages and ignores me. A lot of people asked about the friend and why they still talk after she tried it on with me. How I understand it is my wife tried to get the friend group to cut the friend out, but they all pretty much refused, and so my wife just chose to ignore her in group settings. On the night in question, the friend approached my wife and told her if she didn't tell me she would send me the video. So my wife didn't tell me because she felt guilty, but because she was forced. I've also spoke to a couple of other friends in the group and asked what's been going on. I'm not privy to. Apparently my wife was s**ting her friend's boyfriend a couple of years ago. My wife has also been boasting about how she has me under the thumb and she gets away with giving me nothing and I'm too scared to ask. The friend apparently saw me out shopping one day and decided I was now more f***able and thought she'd try and exact some revenge on my wife. So she didn't really want me, I was just a pawn in this weird friend group's one of many internal beefs with each other, which I found out about in the last few days. Basically they all seem to hate each other and mess with each other's partners. I'll be honest now and I feel incredibly guilty about it, but when she left, my body and soul seemed to take a massive sigh of relief. It was like a black cloud that was dripping eggshells on the floor for me to constantly avoid has gone. I feel terrible for feeling this way, but I feel like I'm my 6 feet 2 inches height now, rather a browbeaten 3 foot who was scared to even say anything for fear of being told I'm wrong or insulted or ridiculed. It's like the blinkers have been taken off. Spent the day today baking with my kids, eating Easter eggs and watching cartoons, and I haven't stopped smiling all day. I haven't winced or broke out in a sweat worrying I'm about to be told off about being too noisy or watching the wrong thing on TV or there's a wrapper on the floor, etc. After my last update, a lot of people commented and messaged me to say that am I sure my kids are mine? This thought never entered my head until I read what people said. Last Thursday I ordered a paternity test, sent it Friday and awaiting the results. At this point I don't really care, it won't change my love for them, but I'm terrified if they come back as not biologically mine I'll lose them. I discussed this with my lawyer last week, who said if they aren't mine it will be much harder to get even any kind of custody. I told him if it comes to that then I'll keep fighting until the end. Blood or no, they are my boys. Speaking of the boys, my adivce has seen them a couple of times with her mom, who is genuinely a nice person, and the kids have been fine. I can't say the same about my baking equipment though. She came into the house on Friday last week when she knew I was out and took a lot of it and purposely broke some bits she knew had sentimental value to me that came from my grandma and my mom. I can't prove she did anything and she brought the stuff back on Sunday and said she just borrowed the items, but I love baking and she is slowly ruining it for me. I'd already deleted my Instagram page because she was insecure about the women who followed me, and this time she must have remembered I was making a cake for my niece's birthday and tried to sabotage it. I've made notes and screenshots of everything.
OOP, redacted, I need you to be honest with me. Did you know what redacted was going to do? OOP, answer. Did you know she was planning to cut my hair? OOP, learn a lesson? Are you hearing yourself right now? She told you what she was going to do and you still let her in. OOP, she told you she wanted to teach me about lesson by cutting my hair, and you thought it redacted. What is wrong with you? OOP, worse. How could it possibly get worse? You knew redacted. You knew she was going to do it and you let her. OOP, but it did happen. Here humiliated, betrayed, and wondering how I'm supposed to ever trust you again. OOP, sorry doesn't fix this. OOP, sorry.
As for the divorce, still in the early stages. One day I want to fight, the next I just want to give her everything, materially, not the kids, and walk away and start again so I can get this finished and done. I have moved back to my hometown and given my ex the house. I know people won't be happy with that, but I just wanted a clean break and no ties to her or that city. The kids are with me and see their mom at weekends, provided I make the 5-hour round trip to drop them off on a Saturday morning and then make the same trip Sunday afternoon to pick them up. I know again people will say I'm doing what she wants, but if it makes my kids happy, it makes me happy. She seems okay with this arrangement, although she has flaked twice already. Once the kids say they no longer want to go, I won't take them. The divorce is still going through but won't be done for a few more months yet according to my lawyer. I'm baking a lot more now and loving it. my ex-wife said it was too far for her to travel to have them at weekends, so every Saturday morning I've been driving them up to her and then picking them back up Sunday evening so they got to see their mom. We'd make fun trips out of it and would take snacks, play audiobooks, have sing-alongs etc., but I'd noticed they always seemed happier to be picked up than taken there. I just always assumed it was because all their stuff and their main home was with me. My ex has started to cancel these weekends a bit recently. 3 of the last 5 she's canceled. She started to say things like they don't like me anyway and you've poisoned them, which is not true. I have never said a bad about their mom to them or in front of them and never would. Plus I make 2 4-hour round trips every weekend so she can see them and they can see her. I'll be honest, every Saturday after I drop them off I cry all the way home. I miss them so much. They are my little best mates. Every night after dinner we will all do our chores and do a different activity. Sometimes it's a walk in the woods behind my house, or we bake, or have movie nights, or read books together. I'm quite good with my hands and love making and fixing things, whether it's baking, cooking, DIY or car repairs, and they have started to take an interest too, so we have a couple of projects on the go, like building a kind of Wendy house for them, but it will have games consoles, a fridge for their drinks and snacks etc. Plus we are also building a couple of petrol go-karts from scratch for them to race at a nearby track when they are done, which they are designing themselves and we are building together. Basically my life is taken up with them in the week, and then at the weekends I feel like a lost zombie until it's time to go get them. Then yesterday I received a short text from her saying she no longer wants to see them. All they do is ask for me anyway. They don't have fun there and they basically get in the way. I was absolutely heartbroken for my boys and I rang her straight away. I'll be honest, I started crying as I felt so bad for them and she genuinely acted like I was annoying her for wanting to get to the bottom of it. She then said, sounds like you don't want them either and are just trying to palm them off the weekends, and hung up on me. I don't even know how I'm going to tell them this. Do I just say she's canceled for a few weeks and see how it goes? Do I tell them the truth? How do I say it in a way that kids will understand and won't absolutely crush them? Then I've got the conflicted selfish emotion of pure joy that I'll have the whole weekends with them. It's so selfish of me, I know, as they are going to be sad while I'm happy. So as far as her giving up her rights as parent, it's a lot harder than I thought. Both my lawyer and hers have told me that it's hard to do this in the UK, and neither of them have seen a judge allow it unless there is a physical or actual chance of harm to the children. However, they have both also said they've never presented a case like this to a judge where both parties agree to it fully. They've drafted an agreement where we both agree to my ex-wife no longer have responsibilities towards my children, including financially. Let's see what happens with that, just waiting now to get a court date, but they said that can be months away. On to the hardest part, telling my kids. I'll be honest, I haven't. The first couple of weeks I just said mom had cancelled again when they asked, and the eldest in particular seemed pretty relieved at this both times, and last weekend they didn't even ask. It's been over a month now since they've seen her. The eldest has also told me that he doesn't like going there anyway, as all she does is sleep and shout. He also told me the other day he prefers his new house and he feels more relaxed. I feel terrible, as I was obviously missing signs before that he wasn't fully happy when we were together as a family. At least he's more comfortable now. I had a bit of a wobble last night with my youngest though. He was watching Land Before Time and then he started saying he misses his mom and then started crying. It was full-blown tears and breaking down, and it was awful to see. While I was holding him I started crying, but I made sure he couldn't see. I didn't say anything bad about his mom or tell him she doesn't want to see him anymore. I just hugged him and stroked his hair and told him I'll always be here for him and he can always come to me if he's upset, happy, or just wants to be silly, and I'll never push him away. Once they were in bed I was in pieces. Blaming myself for leaving their mom. Questioning why I couldn't be stronger and live with it for a few more years until they were adults. It was me who left. It's me who's made them drive up and down the country every weekend. Unsettled them. Uprooted their lives. At 2 a.m. this morning I drafted a text to my wife asking her to get back together and to be a mom again. Luckily, I didn't send it. I had about 3 hours sleep but feel better this morning. None of her family have been in touch either to try and maintain a relationship with the boys. It's horrible to be honest, but they are the ones missing out on these 2 amazing kids. One of her cousins messages me every so often, but she asks more about me than kids, so that either feels like ulterior motive or a trap which I'm not falling into. As for my divorce, NG lawyer has said it should hopefully be finalized before Christmas. Not that it'll make much difference. I don't wear my ring and she has a new 20-year-old boyfriend, not the guy she cheated with. Will be nice though to finally be able to say ex-wife and it be official. It's been just over 3 months since she said she doesn't want to see them. Within a month of her saying that she changed her mind and did want to see them. I spoke to my lawyer who heard from her lawyer, and my lawyer said since there's nothing official about her giving up her rights I shouldn't stop her as it will look bad on me. I agreed then, but said I am no longer making 2 4-hour round trips every weekend to drop them off. It's up to her to come pick them up. My kids are now both constantly crying saying they don't want to go and they are scared up there as she's always tired and angry. I'm having to console them constantly and it's breaking my heart. First weekend no show no notice. Second weekend she tells me she can't make it. Third weekend some random woman appears at my door and said my ex-wife sent her to pick the kids up. I tell her to leave and never come back. Ex-wife rings the police and tells them I am kidnapping my kids. Police being the anti-father institution they are turn up and start telling me to take the boys back to their mum. I inform them they haven't seen their mum in months and I'm their primary parent. They don't believe me but eventually do when I show them the kids' school uniform and that they are enrolled in a local school. Her lawyer now says they want mediation. I end up traveling 2 hours for mediation with my lawyer and it's absolute bollocks. The mediator is the most biased person to the point even my ex-wife's own lawyer said this isn't right and you are being ridiculous. It looks like we've paid you off after the mediator's idea of compromise was me taking the kids up there myself, staying in a hotel nearby, giving my ex money to entertain the kids and then being on call to help out if my ex was struggling with them. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. We all walked away with no ideas set in place. I told my ex-wife and her lawyer outside. She or her parents come pick the kids up and that's it, there's no other solutions to this. The following weekend her parents are there to pick the kids up. My boys cried and fought and begged not to go and I couldn't stay strong. I broke down and just hugged them on my driveway for as long as it took them both to calm down and I apologized and said I don't want this. I want you two forever. I'll see you tomorrow. My ex-father-in-law gave a sorry nod as he led the kids away and that was it. Later that night I got a screenshot of a conversation my ex-wife had been having with someone saying that she wants more custody so she can start to claim money off me. That night the windows were put through on my house and this was just the start of a campaign that is still going on now which I assume is to make me react and look violent. I've had my car vandalized, windows replaced and then smashed again, online accusations made about me, my business hit with 1-star reviews, constant takeaways and taxis ordered to my house. My parents' house and car has also been targeted. It always happens on the Saturday night my kids are up there. I ring the police every time and log it and they never care. I've got proof it's her cousins after one of them filmed himself on the street next to mine at 2 a.m. and put it on TikTok. Police don't care, this is my life now. The poor kids having to go up there every weekend against their will. Me being constantly threatened. I've had official paperwork from her lawyer saying she's going to be asking for more custody. Me having to bite my tongue and hold my temper while me and my family are attacked and harassed. Having to see hundreds of people attacking my character on Facebook and Twitter as my ex tells everyone that I've turned the kids against her. Getting random men ringing me saying they are going to come and stab me for abusing my ex, having people say there's no smoke without fire and believe all women etc. etc. I hate the way that this situation is starting to make me become a more hateful person. I'm nothing biases where I didn't before and I'm also finding myself to become very untrusting of women, as 95% of the people calling me online are women, and it sounds terrible but I was watching a show the other day where a woman was talking about her abuse situation and my first thought was she's lying to get him in trouble and then I had to scold myself for victim blaming. This is really messing me up. You try and do everything right and nothing works. All I want is a quiet safe life for my kids. The day after the post I'd had enough. I left my boys with my parents and went to see her parents. When I got there they inviting me in and over a cup of tea I shown them every piece of evidence I have. Screenshots, screen records, CCTV, and then the worst screenshots of messages between my ex and 3 of her friends who all betrayed her and sent me screenshots of messages she'd sent them with plans to make me lose the kids, burn down my business, even gave me killed. Then the worst one was a video from her friend's Real-Link camera saying she'll tell the police I'm a child abuser in all the worst way possible. I said the police aren't interested but if I ever hear from any of her family ever again I'll be posting every single bit on social media, every single bit. I told them that she can keep the house and that's it. They rang me that night and apologized and said nothing will happen again and that my ex agrees to the divorce but can she see the kids 1 weekend a month. I agreed. The next day I rang my solicitor and between him and hers they agreed all the funeral details and this morning I got it all back from her signed. Be a few more months until it's official but it feels like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Red Relationships to never miss a future upload.